So biz is activity,
Yeah.
right?
Doing,
a lot of
doing,
activity,
doing.
a lot of activity. That the doing, are you advancing? Are you moving forward? Are you achieving your goals? Are you becoming better?
I think one of the things that I wrote down, there's a difference between the two. I think busy is maintaining. I think a lot of times people can be maintaining stuff. And then there's building. So there's a difference.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Moore, and this is the How to Win podcast. These podcasts are designed to give you practical answers for everyday life. And I'm excited today. As usual, I got my partner, my daughter, Tiffany.
Yes.
Hey, Tip.
How are you?
I'm excellent.
That's good. You look nice. I like your blue.
Yeah, I like it.
You getting younger and younger as the day go by.
I had someone tell me that.
Yeah. We looked at a photo, y'all. We looked to give you some insight. We looked at a photo in his office Sunday.
Looked old.
Ooh, you was Benjamin Button. You aging backwards.
I had someone Sunday say, you look younger and younger for years I agree. You know, the Bible says if two shall agree, they shall have it. So
Yeah,
I agree that
that's
my
good.
youth is renewed like the eagles. How you doing?
It really is renewed. You look good.
You look good
I'm
too.
gonna be like you when I grow up.
Okay. You got the gene for it. You got the gene for
You
it.
a bird, I'm a bird. So hey,
That's your son. What does that mean?
Just
You've
mean
said that for years.
They say
You're a
it's-
bird and I'm a bird. Okay,
it's a
explain
movie.
that.
It's a movie called A Notebook, and he be like, if you a bird, I'm a bird, or something like that. And so I'm like, if you a bird, I'm a bird. If you young, I'm young too.
I'm excited about this lesson.
You are.
It's entitled, Are You Busy? Are You Making Progress?
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. You pick these topics.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know whether you're prophetic or what, but you pick these topics and they always seem to match where people are. And I always have to check myself because really, I think most people fall into this trap.
Yeah.
Are you busy or are you making progress?
Yeah.
And we tend to equate busyness with progress.
Yeah.
So I got a question for you.
Okay.
Why do culture and why do people equate busyness with progress? Because they're not the same.
I think a lot of it has to do, they say fake it till you make it. So I think some people, they like, I'm going to look like I'm busy, so I'm doing something. So you have that mindset. I think a lot of people are kind of like, I'm just going to, fake it till I make it. But it's funny that we talking about this because I went to a podcast summit and Kev on stage was talking about how he makes content, right?
Uh-huh.
And so he was like, y'all done did all the studying. You done did all the preparing. You done did everything you need to do. You've been thinking about doing. You just need to do it. And that was kind of like the consistent theme of the conferences of like, I think for a lot of people, we've studied, and I think this goes overall. I think it comes to people, they may study what they need to eat. They may study what they need to do to work out. You may even study with some of the sermons, but they don't actually do what they need to do.
Right.
To do it. So it was interesting because Kev on stage was like, y'all want to see how I make content? He pulled out his phone, he recorded himself, he talked, and then he posted it on social media, and that was it. And it's like, you come to this conference to figure out, okay, what's the most important way, how you do it? He just recorded it and posted it. And I think that's what happens with a lot of people. I think we get so busy with trying to prep and do stuff, but we don't actually do it. So I think that's one side of it. But I think there's the other side of it, and I see this happen a lot, and I even seen it in my own personal life. So like I see people, they'll go to the gym. They in the gym all the time, but they ain't seeing no progress.
No progress.
Right? Or if you take it even spiritually, you see people come to church all the time and they not growing spiritually. And so I think a lot of times you have to kind of sit back and ask your question, even though I'm in these environments, am I actually seeing growth? And I had to ask yourself, like you were saying, you was asking yourself, I had to ask myself, even with that, when it comes to like the social media aspect for it, like I have done every course you could think of creating. I have studied, I have doing all of that stuff. And I think sometimes, I was telling Mike the other day, is reps over perfection.
Yeah.
So sometimes you just got to do it until you perfect it,
and you
right?
perfect it.
And I think for a lot of people, you have those two categories. It's like they're busy studying, they're busy doing this, but they're not actually producing. And then you got the other people, they're busy and they're looking important, but they're not actually being productive with their
let's
stuff.
do this for our audience. We're talking about, are you busy or are you making progress? Take one of the words and define it. You can take busy or you can take progress, because we want them to know the difference. Which one you going to take? I'm going to take the other one.
I'll take busy. I think busy is just you feeling like, you're doing all the things. So when I think of a mom, when it comes to school and preparing for the summer, I can see some moms being so busy doing stuff for the kids, but they can also, miss the point of like, are they actually progressing in their own personal lives or even growing a relationship with their kids?
Okay.
And I think sometimes we can equate busy with being productive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So biz is activity.
Yeah.
Right?
Doing,
a lot
doing,
of activity,
doing.
a lot of activity. Right. The doing, but progress is moving forward.
Yeah.
Are you advancing? Are you moving forward? Are you achieving your goals? Are you becoming better?
Yeah.
Because that's what progress is becoming better. It's moving forward, achieving your goal.
Yeah.
And it's very possible to be busy and not do any of that.
I think one of the things that I wrote down, there's a difference between the two. I think busy is maintaining.
Okay.
I think a lot of times people can be maintaining stuff. And then there's building. So there's a difference. You can maintain something, but are you actually building
That's
something?
good.
So those are the ways that I guess you can kind of differentiate the two.
That's good.
Yeah.
I was... when I look at these, these lessons, you give me a card and stuff, what we're going to talk about, I always feel guilty because I can really remember saying to somebody, how you doing? And they said, well, I'm busy. And then I said, well, busy is good, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's good. Because here's the deal. Here's why I think that culture and people in general.
Yeah.
Busyness creates an illusion of accomplishment.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it makes me think, I was really busy today. I spent 8 hours doing this. I spent 8 hours doing this. So how do we know the difference? Practically, how can we tell when we've been just busy or we've been progressive?
And I think that's a good question because in my mind, there are two things that kind of you're competing with, because sometimes you can be productive in what you're doing, but you may be in a seasons of preparation, or it may be a season where you're like waiting to get to where you're doing and you're learning in that process. Like I listened last night when they were talking about, they use the word loneliness, but I mean, let's just say singleness. And I think sometimes people can look at singleness as something like you're trying to get somewhere, but you're actually learning about yourself. You're learning more about yourself. So I think you have to ask yourself, I think it's all about perspective, because if you look at actually being productive, you should see some results along the way. You should see some growth along the way. Whereas, and I feel like when you're just busy, like you can be doing things, but you're not actually like growing. It's kind of like what I said like the person who's going to the gym all the time. They lifting weights, doing all of this stuff, but they never like reevaluated, okay, is this actually working for me?
We were in a meeting recently, and one of our teammates, Vaisha, made a statement. I was saying something, and she said, oh, it's linear. So the track is linear.
Yeah.
I didn't fully understood what she was saying when she said it, but I did after she said it. Watch this. The mistake we make is we think of progress as being linear, okay? In other words, I go a straight line. If I draw a line from me to you, then if I go straight to you, that's linear.
Yeah.
Okay? But progress is not linear. You said something that made me think about this. You said maybe we're in a season of preparation.
Yeah.
So think about it. It's not a lot of activity, but I'm growing.
Yeah.
I'm learning.
Yeah.
And so you can actually be progressive and not be busy. Because see, if I'm studying, I'm meditating, I'm growing, I'm developing me.
Yeah.
I hadn't gone anywhere. I hadn't accomplished anything, but I'm progressing inwardly. But it's not busy work.
Why do you think so many people get I guess the word that I'm thinking is unsettled, because you said that you can be progressive but not busy. Do you think that society played a part in us feeling like, if I'm not like overly tired, fatigued, like, you know, that saying, they say people who work, they never sleep. Do you think that that's something that we've kind of been conditioned to thinking?
I think culture has conditioned us. I use another word. I use the word linear, but I use another word, binary. Binary is a term that simply means is either on or off. Okay? I'm successful
Yeah.
or I'm a failure. But there's no middle ground. It's either dark or it's light. Well, I think sometimes when it comes to success, we have a binary mindset. And what I mean by that, you're either busy or what's the opposite of that? Give me an opposite of busy.
Stagnant. Not necessarily stagnant, but just, you know, just
And you know what the word
resting,
I'm looking for?
or
Lazy.
like, well, you know, I was thinking that, but I was just
Okay.
like,
Okay, so think about it. If I have a binary mindset, I'm either busy or I'm lazy.
yeah,
And so we all equate laziness with a negative.
yeah,
Okay? So I got to be busy because I don't want to be lazy. But really, you can be busy and not really accomplish your goals. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about.
Well, when you get to there, so we
Okay.
were talking about busy. So let's say a person who is watching, because I think everybody can kind of relate to this. What would you say are some signs or ways for a person to recognize maybe I am just being too busy and not actually like being productive in what I'm doing?
I'm gonna use one word:
Okay.
exhaustion.
Okay.
I think exhaustion. I'm just tired.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just tired. I think exhaustion is a sign. Busy in and of itself doesn't have a measurement, a gauge. In other words, I can be moving in this church, you know, in the seat right here, and I'm just busy. I'm busy, but what am I producing? What am I accomplishing? Where am I going? So I wanna ask you a question, and it's one of the questions we had here. Why is it difficult for us to slow down and evaluate out? Why is that difficult? Because see, it's not just that culture tells us that. We choose to be busy.
I think there's different personality types. I think that
Okay.
you have some people who are okay if you think that they lazy, if you think that they ain't doing nothing and they just, you know, they could be at home. I think if you are a personality type that is an extrovert, or you like to be on the go, or in some cases people who have ADHD and their mind is constantly like thinking about certain things, I think that that's that mindset of, I don't want to look like I'm lazy. So I'll give you an example. I I would say, because I was going to do a post about this on social media, I think about since January is when I was like, okay, let me go actually see a doctor. But it started like in last year. I used to be tired all the time. So you said that exhaustion was a thing. And so I was like, okay, I'm a firm believer that your body is always talking to you. Like it's telling you if you need to do this or you need to do that, change this or change that. And so I was kind of fatigued for a long time, so I went to my doctor, and so I was going to make a post about advocating for yourself. Because I was like, I know something wrong, my body's telling me something wrong, but I just didn't know. But I was equating me being fatigued and exhausted for laziness. And I was like, well, maybe because it's the fall and it's getting dark, maybe I'm just being lazy and stuff like that. But then when I went to the doctor, I realized my ferritin and my iron levels were really, really low.
Okay.
And if you have ever experienced that or if somebody's familiar with that, that will make you fatigued. And I think for me, like a person like me, I'm constantly trying to, I don't know if it's like prove myself, but I'm constantly trying to outdo my own self. Right.
Gotcha.
For me, I'm not really trying to, in some ways, I'm trying to compete with other people. But for me, it's like, okay, Tiffany, we're trying to compete against our own self because we know we can do better than that. So I think it's a personality, trait that people are constantly trying to outdo themselves. And so working and being busy and being productive, it can be a way for you to not feel like you lazy. Because in my case, I was like, man, girl, you just so lazy. You ain't getting nothing done. I know I'm not, but it just felt like that.
Okay.
So you just want to do more instead of just listening to your body.
I like the point you make about personality types. Sometimes it's the way we see ourselves. Because I said this to somebody. I said, well, I'm high energy and I'm aggressive and I'm always trying to do something. Do you think would workaholism fit in there anywhere?
I think it would. And again,
that's
I think
a flaw.
that's a person.
I think of workaholism as a flaw.
But I think it also could be a personality trait. For instance, if you've seen your parents or if you saw your dad and your mom working all the time and that's what they did, and they kind of trained you on, like, I had a friend who's Nigerian, and she was saying in her culture, like, it was, you need to study, you need to be a doctor, you need to be a lawyer, you need to be something like that. And so for them, it was always studying, always going to school, always getting a better education. And so I think some of it can be like a cultural thing, or it can be like a family thing where your family has instilled into you, like, if you don't work, you don't eat, right? Okay. And so you have that thing. So workaholism, I think, is something that's a learned behavior.
Okay.
But I also, again, I think that people have like a personality of, like, for instance, you a person, you could stay up all night studying. I think I've inherited that trait from you.
I can stay up all night.
You can stay up all night studying, reading, and I can do that too. So I think that some of it is and I don't even know if I just studied you doing that. It's just we just kind of alike in that way,
Well, we covered lazy. Some people feel like it. I don't want to be lazy. Then you said personality types. Upbringing, exposure is what you're talking about. My parents were like this, and that's the way we operate. And
perfectionism would be another one. Would be another reason why I say people stay so busy.
I agree. Explain.
I have friends who I know of, or I know people who they want to get everything right when it comes to being a mom, or they want to do everything right when it comes to their business. And so, like I said in the podcast summit, I think sometimes you can get so held by trying to do everything right that you're constantly doing stuff versus just stopping and just kind of evaluating what's going well for me already, and like, how can I continue to do what's going well without exerting more of who I am as a person.
Okay, I heard something in my thought life when you said that. Is it true that sometimes less is better than more?
Yeah. That's the thing that I have been trying to push on my own personal business thing. And one of the things is we kind of got this mindset of like, if we're not doing a strenuous, hard type of exercise or workout, then it's not working, right?
Right.
But I've seen people have results when it comes to just walking. It's something they can do on a consistent basis, right? So when you were talking about linear things, like, it's something that they can do consistently but they're not being overly exhausted by it.
Well, I when I thought about that, I'm a minister. I think sometimes we do that with our spiritual exercises, our spiritual growth, whatever. We have this thought that more is better than less. In other words, if I pray longer,
Yeah.
it's better than praying shorter times.
I think that's a big one.
If I read 100 chapters, sometimes less is better.
Yeah.
It would be better to spend 20 minutes where you're meditating on what you're reading than to just be,
How did you experience that in your own life? Or when did you get to the point where you realized that?
just spiritual growth and maturity. And then understanding that my walk with God was a relationship and not a routine. Although routines are good, but it's not like God is up there saying, you only read 2 chapters today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're going to only spend 15 minutes in prayer with me. And so in our minds, we actually, especially when we're young in the things of God, we think if I just do more of this,
Yeah.
I do more of this, I get more. And that may not be true.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's quality rather than quantity. It's quality time. I want to go back to something. I want to go back to this thing. Why is it? Okay, I'm gonna add another question to it. I asked you the question: why is it difficult to slow down and evaluate our lives? The next question is: can business become a distraction from what matters most?
Yeah.
Now, when I put those two things together, I think that sometimes we are busy intentionally because we don't want to slow down. Because if we slow down, we will have to think about things that we don't want to think about. Because it's in those slow down moments where you really start thinking. And for example, this is an extreme example, but it's a good one. Sometimes people have someone to depart or a loved one to die, and afterward, they don't want to think. They don't want to think about it. They don't want to think about it. So they just stay busy. But it's not solution oriented. It's intentional to distract themselves from thinking. Sometimes there are issues. It may not be death, but there are issues we have that we need to face.
Yeah.
And so rather than facing those things by slowing down, because if you slow down, you reflect more. Sometimes people don't want to reflect more because what they're reflecting on for them can be uncomfortable, or painful. So sometimes it is an intentional distraction.
Okay, I got 2 questions because I think one of the areas that we have come to conclusion is that in our podcast, we want to hit on certain areas, and leadership is one of those areas that we really want to tackle. But before I go to that leadership part, you talked about the word distraction. You recently had a conversation with me where you bought a book about social media being a distraction. Do you remember that? What made you kind of in your own personal life say, I think I'm being distracted by social media?
Because before I got into social media, I was talking about, y'all just spending too much time on the social media. You just spending too much time on the social. It's a distraction. And then when I got into social media, and I found myself just flipping, and then sometimes it's video about famous people, and then it may sports. You know, I got to find out everything that's going on with this person, that person, and I'm flipping. And man, I sit up and then I think, man, you done spent all this time. Hey, and this is the honest truth. I'm just being transparent. One of my challenges is going to bed at night, going to sleep at night, okay? Like the other night, I was so proud of myself. I went to bed at 9:30.
What?
I don't think I went to bed at 9:30 since I was a kid.
I can't remember you going to bed that
Oh,
early.
my goodness. And
That was intentional?
It was intentional.
Okay.
And so but I ain't go to bed last night till about 1 or 2. but my goal is to get into bed.
Yeah.
The problem was I be looking at this and looking at that.
But you know that they say that they designed that for that. That's why I have an app on my phone. So between the hours of 10 o'clock and 10 a.m. to 4 p.m., I have it with my apps blocked. Okay. I can't go on it. If I wanted to do like my internet, like Google or whatever, I could do that too. Mm-hmm. But I'm kind of like you. I think I'm going to do it now to 9 o'clock until I go to bed, have it blocked to where I can't get on it as well. Because it is easy to just like go and then you be like, oh, well, let me see this right quick before I do this. And let me go here before I do this.
I'm into sport, so I want to see what free agent doing this and who getting this and where this free agent going.
And then social media is created to where, like, if you're on Instagram or Facebook, if you look for something so long, it'll start showing you more content like that.
Right. And you'll see somebody, and then you'll think, and then you see somebody, a minister or something, then you try to find out
what's going
on with that. So I felt like a hypocrite because I was falling into the same trap that I was telling other folks.
So it's easy to get into it. I think it's one of those things that can be easy to get into it. So I think it's also important if we as adults can be easily distracted. What do you think kids or teenagers in social media, how easy it is for them to get distracted?
I would think it's very easy.
Yeah, and so I think that those one of the things in this new generation, like we have so much more access to social media and different things like that, but it also, as parents or as an adult, we have to be mindful of like what our children are consuming, because that can be a lot.
I want to go back to something that I said. And I didn't finish my thought. You didn't interrupt me. I just went on to something else. Mm-hmm. How sometimes people get busy intentionally to keep from dealing with issues. Mm-hmm. And I brought up the death thing. What I was going to say at the end of that, but it would be true of any other situation that you're struggling, confronting, is let's say a person have a loved one to depart. Naturally, they want to move forward and stuff like that. So I'm not talking about it's wrong to engage life. I'm saying that sometimes people are not processing their pain, they're not allowing themselves to mourn. Mm-hmm. They just get busy. Mm-hmm. And then down the road, they crash. I mean, just have a meltdown. Yeah. Because they didn't allow themselves to mourn. They didn't allow themselves to cry. They just got busy, you know. And sometimes people do that when they have problems. It may be marital problems. It can be other relational problems. People just get busy because they don't want to process the pain. They don't want to confront the pain that they're feeling. And so down the road, it hit them and they have a meltdown because they utilize busyness to keep them from reflecting, dealing, confronting, praying. And so I think that can be a very negative distraction. Business can be a very negative distraction.
You talked about a little bit about death of a loved one, but what about, because I know you at one point when your dad was sick, you had to take care of him. So the caretaking thing, it's a busyness, but it's an important thing. How can a person who is in that position now learn to prioritize their time?
Well, it's hard. it's hard because sometimes caregiving is full time.
Yeah.
When my dad got sick, now when my mother she started drifting down, but she didn't just get total sick like that.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, she just fell asleep one day and just woke up in heaven.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad, they hadn't diagnosed it at that time,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm convinced he had Alzheimer's or some form of dementia.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to watch him all the time. I mean, you had to watch him all the time. So I was working in Kentucky, and my mom called me and said, Mike, it was my first job. She said, Mike, I can't handle him by myself. I need you to help me. And so I quit my job, came home, and it was literally 24/7. Because he would just walk around the house. He could have PJs on or take his clothes off and be naked. I had to keep him from walking out the house. We were wrestling one time because he was trying to get away and stuff like that. And it was emotionally draining. So that question, if I know what I know now that I didn't know then, is you have to ask God for grace on situations like that.
Yeah.
Because it's not a lot of downtime.
Right.
If a person it's a 24-hour caregiving thing where you need that person to go to sleep for you to have a little brief moment or something like that.
So that's more of a supernatural grace.
Yeah, asking God to give you grace, asking God to give you the strength.
Yeah.
To be able to deal with that, praying for support, that you can get some support. And I just believe God will help you in that situation supernaturally.
I think that's a good one, praying for support, because I think sometimes people can think that they have to do it on their own, and God has somebody who can help you, support you in those areas. But I think sometimes you can be protective of the person that you're trying to caregive, but also having an understanding that God wants somebody to help you too in that.
What can we share with them about understanding practically how to measure whether I'm just being busy or progressive? Are there any practical tips we can give them?
Well, let me ask you this before we go into the practical tips. Because remember I said that we wanted to hit on the part of leadership. So I've heard you say plenty of times that when you were in ministry, you felt like you were doing things that were good. So you were busy in that. But that really wasn't what God called you to do. Do you think that some of the issues can come with because we can be doing good things but not God things?
Yeah, and I'm gonna say God things, but I'm gonna say things that matter. Okay, which gets to the point of priorities. What is my priority? What am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah,
and maybe that gets to more than priorities. Maybe it gets to purpose, because you can be busy doing something. But God never told you to do it.
right.
And you could be really going for it and giving it your all, and you know what I mean? I'll give you an illustration, and this may be controversial, but if you understand the principle, you'll get it. You can be out there in the streets trying to win everybody to Christ. I mean, every day, you just out there trying to win everybody to Christ. You just out there every day winning everybody to Christ. You come home, you just as tired because you was out there every day. Well, did he tell you to do that?
Yeah.
Is that what God... Well, he told us to win the law. Yeah, all of us supposed to win the law, but he tells you to spend all day out there doing that. Now, if he told you to do that, then great. Sometimes what he tells us to do, we get angry at other folk because they're not doing it.
Right.
But maybe God didn't tell them to do it. Because, see, winning people in the streets is not the only way to win people.
Yeah.
Some people can win people and never go to the streets.
Right.
They can win people in their
At
families.
work.
They can win people at work. They may never hit the streets. Sometimes we try to put what we are called to do on others, and then sometimes we're doing what others are called to do, but we are not called to do it.
Yeah. I think that's a good point because yesterday in my walking group, it was a lady, she had came and I was like, how was your week? And she was like, it was good. And we got to talking about something, and I was like, oh, she was like, she was looking, she had tried some different churches. So I was like, oh, well, we're having summer at the movies. You're welcome to come to it or whatever. And she was like, oh, I never heard of that or whatever. And after the walk, she was like, I think I'm going to come visit y'all. So I think what you're saying is you can unintentionally, just from having conversation and just talking to a person and getting to it. Because my intention wasn't to be like, girl, come to church.
Right.
But it ended up
Right.
turning out to be that way.
See, evangelism is not just in the streets. Evangelism is every day.
Yeah.
It's your everyday act. You know, there were times when Jesus went out in the public and he was ministering to people in the public. But there were times when he was ministering to people in terms of the everyday encounters that he had with people.
Yeah.
You know, and so I this subject is so important to me. If because we got a little time, talk to me about
Solutions.
solutions. How can I make sure that I'm not just busy?
Yeah. I would say, but I think a lot of times we can, for some people, because they want to appease other people, they say yes to stuff. And so before you say yes to something, ask, does this matter?
That's good.
I recently
I
saw
like that.
a social media post where a girl was saying how she saved $10,000 and she stopped doing certain things. And one of the things was she stopped waiting for people to fill up her calendar and she filled it up herself.
Okay.
So on her weekends, instead of waiting for her friends to ask her to do something last minute, which usually probably costs more because you got to go spend money on food or whatever it is, she said she was very intentional about this day being a content day where she worked on her own business, or she was very intentional about reading books and different things like that. So she filled her own calendar instead of other people filling her calendar for her. So I think a solution could be, you know, before you say yes to something, ask yourself, is this what matters most? And then the second thing is, don't allow other people to fill your calendar in. You fill your own calendar in.
I think that's good tip.
Yeah.
Does this really matter?
Yeah.
And you can add priorities to this. As a leader, not just a minister, but as a leader, we can get so involved in people
Yeah.
that we get distracted from our own families. I don't ever want people to feel like don't have worth because they go through a divorce.
Yeah.
But there is some identifiable causes, and one can be distraction. Not everybody is divorced because of distraction.
Yeah.
Some people are divorced and they didn't want to be.
Yeah.
But they were connected to somebody who was distracted with somebody else. But you can be busy and not hit your priorities. So you talked about being intentional about your schedule, not letting other folk decide what your schedule is. We have to be intentional about our priorities. Okay, what is a priority? Is your marriage a priority? Are your children a priority? Is this what is the priority? Is this goal a priority? Because you can get busy with a lot of different things, but it's not really what you should be doing at that time. So priorities, schedule, being intentional, values.
Yeah.
Is there something that a part of my values. You brought up people's expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Is it something that you're responsible for?
Yeah.
Or is it some that others expect from you?
I think another one is turning off, I mean, it's simple, but turning off your phone notifications. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have to respond to every text message of a person that texts you right in that moment. Even with emails, I think sometimes people can get so caught up in I have to respond to every email. I have a thing after a certain time, I'm going to respond, but it's going to be the next day. And I think some people feel like, oh, well, I can't do that. But if you don't do it, then your body going to do it for you. So you might as well go ahead and set time for yourself as well to do that.
You know, one of the things that I think is really bad, but I have to balance it. Some people are on call.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Their job is such that they have to keep their phones, on.
Yeah.
Because they're on call. Their job is on call. Some people just too busy.
Right.
I mean, they just looking at that phone and they can't even eat a meal. They looking at that phone or looking at their watch, and stuff like that.
And that's why I said if it needs to be a form of balance, like I feel like even if you're on call, like during my lunch period, I'm not going to respond to everything. You know what I'm saying? Like, of course, if there's like emergencies, but I do think that there is some time in your space for 15 minutes where you do not have to respond to something.
Right.
Is
it possible to be addicted? I know that's another subject. Is it possible to be addicted to social media?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that when we come to an end, we like to hear what y'all say in the comments. What is one thing, let us know, what's one thing that you have been focusing on that you're like, maybe I'm being too busy and I need to pull back some. And then what are some practical changes that you can make this week to see if you're actually progressing versus being too busy?
And I got something I want you to deal with right quick.
Okay.
Because we're near finished. How does rest play a part in it?
So I think rest looks different for each person.
Okay.
Right? So for some people, rest could be a vacation.
Okay.
For some people, they may not be able to do that, but rest can be, like I said, where it's just taking 15 minutes out of your day and going, like if you're a busy mom, putting your kids in bed at 8 o'clock, and from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, just taking some time just for you to be able to rest.
Why is it important? Why is the rest? What does the rest? And I need help. Why is the rest important?
I think it's important because your body is created. I think that's kind of how God created our bodies. Like we have a eternal internal clock where like for some people we have alarm clocks and stuff like that, but as soon as the sun rose, or if you heard the roosters in y'all case, in y'all area, your body wakes up. Same thing when it comes to nighttime. Like when you turn off your phones or you turn down the light, your body naturally winds down. So our body has this mechanism of knowing when we need to wake up and when we need to kind of shut it down. And I think if you don't do it, so you ask the importance, if you don't do it, then your body will start to get discombobulated. So in moments where you should be resting, your body may be in constant, kind of fight or flight. And so you can also get to a point where you're at higher risk for diseases or to get sick. That's why some people, when they're constantly busy and going and doing so much, they can get sick. Their immune system has been broken down. So I think it's important because your body is just, God created our bodies to be able to rest. And I think that's the reason why he said on the seventh day, he rested. I think he was very intentional about saying that because our bodies need that.
And it wasn't because he was tired.
Right.
But he was giving us an example. I have discovered, like you mentioned earlier, I can go long periods of time. I can prep for hours and hours. I can go early all day. But then I hit a point.
Yeah.
I hit a point like,
But your body is speaking to you. That's why I say your body is always talking to you.
I hit a point where I'm just putting the right stuff down.
Yeah.
And I have to tell myself, okay, you need to stop now. Because I lose my focus. I'm not as focused as I need to be. Clarity, things running into each other.
There's actually a study, and I think a lot of college students do that, where you give yourself a certain amount of time to study, and then you stop, you rest, and then you go back into it, because they were saying how your brain can only absorb so much information in an amount of time.
And you get clarity when you go back.
Right.
You're more focused when you go back. Sometimes it can be an hour. Sometimes I can be tired. If I take an hour nap, sometimes and I come back, it really helps me.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's good. Well, again, let us know in the comments, what is one way that you plan to make some practical changes to see if you're actually just doing busy work or if you are actually progressing. I call it productivity theater. So you may be in theater just trying to produce, but you're not actually progressing. So let us know what's one thing that you plan to do this week to actually progress. And then if you've been following us and you have been not a part of our family, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, because you get notified each time we make a new post. And we thank y'all for joining us.
You know what I think we ought to ask them to do too? Out of this discussion, what thing really jumped out at you?
Yeah.
Because Tiffany going to check you out.
Yeah. And then also, too, let us know if there's any prayer requests, too, because we always are watching those as well. Yeah. So thank y'all for joining us, and we'll see y'all next time.
Look forward to it.